Okay, we're going to have a series of speakers. Let me clip this. Put this on the side. Come on up, Bruce. Everybody should come up. I don't know. It's pulling on me, friends. It's the wrong side. Eve, you want to look at it? Eve, why don't you let Eve do it? That's all she's got. Now, I don't know what we're going to do when I go to the next speaker, so.
If you go off to your right towards me, you'll be okay.
Well, I know, but then he won't have it. So. You guys all ready? Everybody? All right. Well, good morning, everyone. We are here today because of our great concern about the rising number of cases, and particularly about the people who are now who have COVID, who are in our hospitals in the state. Let me start with the statewide numbers. We now have 3,580 people with COVID in our hospitals in the state of Ohio. 982 of those are in the ICU, and 617 are on a ventilator. Looking at it a different way, 1 out of every 6 people in our hospitals has COVID. 1 out of every 4 in the state is in the ICU. So these are stunning numbers. And there's no part of the state that is really immune from what is going on. We're seeing hospital admissions that have gone up dramatically from a year ago. And this is in spite of the fact that about 50% of us are vaccinated. And so very, very concerning. We are right here in Region 8. Region 8 includes a number of counties, but it would include Jefferson County, it would include Belmont County, it would include Washington County. Just to take Region 8 and look at the numbers, on July 4th this year, we had 4 people in the hospital. We had, on September 3rd, we had 120 who had COVID in this region. Today, that number is 172. So it continues to go up dramatically. If you look at ICU, July 4th, we had 0 in this region. 0 people. September 3rd, it was up to 26. Today, we're up to 48. If you look at, that's who's in the ICU. If you look at who's on a vent, July 4th, 0. September 3rd, it was 19. Now it's 35. So this is really of great concern. I'm going to now turn it over to the Health Director of the State of Ohio, Dr. Vanderhoff. Doctor.
Well, thank you, Governor. As you heard from Governor DeWine, our hospital systems are really facing a dramatic increase in the number of patients that they are caring for compared to where we were just as recently as early this summer. The current surge in hospitalizations, unfortunately, is being driven largely by our unvaccinated Ohioans. And it's stretching our hospitals to their capacity. And it's not just because of the high numbers of COVID-19 patients, but it's also because of the continued strain that is placing on our healthcare providers. We are seeing that our hospitals are finding it harder and harder to maintain their workforce. And so they're having to make difficult decisions to alleviate some of the pressure that they're facing. So we're seeing hospitals doing things like rescheduling elective procedures, diverting patients to other hospitals, and there are sometimes long waits for less urgent needs among patients who are in the emergency room. Now, when we hear this, it should raise real concerns for all of us, because we all want to be sure that when we need vital health care, there's a bed there for us. Now, today, there's no question that our hospitals are meeting that need. But it's putting a lot of strain, as I said, not only on the hospitals, but also their emergency rooms. So if you're having symptoms that really require you to go to the emergency room, you're having a heart attack, a stroke, you've recently been in an auto accident, of course, we want you to go to the emergency room. But we also want you to be mindful of some of the other healthcare resources if you have lesser symptoms. Have you called your primary care provider? Have you considered being seen at a clinic nearby or taking advantage of a telehealth option? Now, one of the other things we're hearing from our hospitals is that they are being inundated by people who are coming in just for a COVID test. And in many circumstances, it's people who need a test so that they can attend an event or travel. Well, we want to remind people, especially at this time when our ERs are so busy, that there are other resources that are available. Not only can you get a test through many retail locations, you can sometimes get them through your local pharmacy, which may have still drive-through appointments available, but also the state has made tests available through many of our libraries and local health departments. If you are simply looking for a test, please go to the state's website, coronavirus.ohio.gov, and you can find locations. Now, the last thing I want to remind people is that this surge really is a surge of the unvaccinated. Our very best protection against COVID-19 and the very best step that each of us can undertake to protect ourselves and our communities and our vital hospitals is to choose to be vaccinated. So please, do yourselves and do your families a favor. If you're unvaccinated, go out today and get a vaccine.
Dr. Vanderhoff, if you want to give them the spelling of your name.
Oh, sure. It's V as in Victor, A-N-D-E-R-H-O-F-F as in Frank.
It's Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff, who is the Director of Health in the state of Ohio. Let me now introduce Dr. Rick Greco at Trinity Health Systems. He is also here with Matt Grimshaw, who is the CEO of Trinity Health. Sure.
Oh, I get your microphone. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for this opportunity. And Dr. Vanderhoff, you made some very important points. You know, our original first surge around here seemed to be a disease of overcrowding, our prison systems, our nursing homes, and then it hit into our communities. And now, in fact, really seems to be a disease among our unvaccinated. We certainly are in the midst of a surge here. Relative to our surge we experienced in Belmont and Jefferson County back in December of 20, we were experiencing hospital admission numbers that are about 50% of that now, and we're maybe still going up. The really fascinating thing is that of those admissions, 80% are unvaccinated. And it's really sad because we do have an opportunity there to help us. We prayed for a vaccine back in December, and it's here, and we're just not taking advantage of it as much as we should. Though, Governor, I think you should be very proud of the regional collaboration that your administration has supported. I've seen unprecedented collaboration with hospitals throughout our region. We are sharing information with each other. We're sharing resources, and it's really been a bright side of all of this. We've learned a lot in our medical community of how to recognize the disease early, how to institute some new treatments that can be helpful to abort hospitalization with our monoclonal antibodies, and thank you for making all those things available. That has really been helpful for all of us. We've accepted, in our Steubenville area, we've accepted transfers from hospitals that are overwhelmed as far south as Marietta. So we are all collaborating. And just if I could take a minute and reach out to those those first line providers, just like our community, we all kind of hoped and thought that this was over, right? That we had the worst of it and it was gone. We were down to 0 admissions, but we've had to rally back up and our first line nurses, respiratory therapists, physicians, all of our healthcare workers have really risen to that, and I just want to take a moment to thank them. Thank you.
It'll get you.
Caught on tape.
Get that back on here. Maybe I'll just hold that. Does that work for you? Lay it down? All right. We'll lay it down. See if it'll stay there. Maybe. Wrap it around there. Just flip it. Eric, you want to take this? There we go. How's that? Is that going to work for you? All right, we'll do that. I think that's probably best. The two of you were telling me about what was going on in the transfer. And let me just say that the only reason we're able to deal with this today is because of the cooperation of the hospitals around the state of Ohio. This is absolutely unprecedented. And the ability to move patients from one area to the other, and one hospital picking up for another hospital. You talked about what's going on in the central Ohio, too. I don't know if you want to say.
Thank you, Governor. Ohio has developed really one of the nation's premier capabilities for hospitals on a regular basis to be in close communication with each other. We have a zone structure at the top that allows for regular leadership communication that cascades through every region of the state. In addition, we have a long history through our statewide trauma system of being able to share the load for necessary care. When one institution becomes overwhelmed, another institution is there and ready to step in. And Doctor, you shared with me before this press conference an example of how that worked. Perhaps you'd like to share that.
Thank you. So, unfortunately, these days when hospitals become stressed and overcrowded, oftentimes we have to maybe care for patients in the emergency room that we want to get upstairs to an admission, and when those people turn severely ill, and effectively we have to try to create an ICU in the emergency room. So we have daily communications with hospitals and trying to network that and understand where other people are. And so through our administration and our COVID task force, we've identified those, conversations with them daily, and made arrangements to get them up here to our ICUs where we had some more room at the time. So it's been a good success story, and my understanding is that those people have done well. Unfortunately, there are probably communities out there that are not quite so fortunate, but we have been. Thank you.
Let me now introduce Dr. George Chulak, who is the Belmont County Health Commissioner. Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning. We've been pretty successful with our volunteers. We had a number of clinics in the area, and we're still having clinics, but most of our vaccinations are now at the health department. We also have available protective equipment, masks. We also have test kits for doing COVID at home if you'd like them. My staff has been working overtime and has done a good job. We had volunteers that were ex-nurses, ex-everything, and they came to the clinics and they were quite successful. There were days when we had over 1,000 vaccinations. Now it's hopefully we'll pick up again. We're trying to go to the schools and go to working with the nursing homes, working with a couple local hospitals, a couple outpatient clinics that it's been improving, and hopefully the rate will get better in our area. We've had a couple deaths, unfortunately. Some younger people have died, but all in all, I think most of our COVID positive patients are doing much better. At least they're making some sense now on what to do and how to do local distancing and wear masks and take care of themselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you.
Let me conclude before we go to questions. This week, the children's hospitals of the state did a conference call with all of our schools. They also did a press conference, and they once again requested every school in the state of Ohio to go to a mandatory masking policy. So I'm here today to reiterate that and to again ask our schools to do that. Last year, when we had many of our schools who stayed in school the whole year and were able to educate children in person. And the only way they were able to do that is because every school was masking, and we were not seeing spread in the classroom. This year it's different. We're seeing a very significant increase in the number of children who have COVID. That rate is increasing among children at twice the rate it is increasing among adults, and we're very, very concerned about it. We all have a goal of keeping children in school. We all want our children to stay in school. The only way we're going to be able to keep our kids in school is if we have more children 12 and above who can be vaccinated, actually get the vaccine. And second, for those children who cannot be vaccinated because of their age, wearing a mask in school. So I, again, would ask our schools. We have a number of schools in this part of the state, Belmont County, Jefferson County, that are in fact masked. We have a number of schools that are not. And I'm here today to ask those schools to, again, take a look at this, look at what the children's hospitals, the information they have put out. We are seeing statewide that the schools that are masking are seeing a lot fewer cases, and they're missing fewer days. So this is our ticket. Our ticket to keeping kids in school is for the schools to put a mandatory masking order on. Again, an final appeal to everyone to vaccinate. As we have heard from the doctors, the people who are ending up in the hospital are by and large unvaccinated. This is an epidemic among the unvaccinated at this point. And if we look at the numbers, Jefferson County, if you look at those 12 years of age and older, those people who can be vaccinated legally now, Jefferson County is at 51% of that group. Belmont County is at 46%. So a lot of people have been vaccinated, but we have a ways to go. And the more people that can get vaccinated, the fewer people we're going to end up in our hospitals. And the big concern is expressed this week by our children's hospitals is the number of children in hospitals is going up, and that is threatening the ability of the hospitals to care for a child who's in an accident, a child who needs an examination about something else. It is really slowing their ability to do that down. So this is something that it really impacts everyone. So we're happy to answer any questions for any of us.
In Ohio, there is legislation against mandates. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a real mistake. I don't think we should be in the business of telling hospitals what they have to do or can't do to keep the patients safe and to keep their employees safe. It's up to the hospital, just like it is up to any other business, a nursing home, whether they require vaccination or not. So I'm against that. I think that would be a mistake. And I think that we should trust our hospitals. We should trust our other institutions to make those decisions. Who else? Yes, sir.
I guess I just wanted to ask you, I was at a meeting last night in Jefferson County where they implemented a mask mandate, And there were a number of parents that were concerned about that, raising those concerns. Just kind of your reaction to those parents raising those concerns about that mandate with the rising numbers you were talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Dr. Vanderhoff to talk about that because he has looked at all of the studies in regard to masking. The bottom line is that the evidence is overwhelming that masking in school slows spread down in the classroom. Now, we can't stop kids getting together at night, eating pizza and doing whatever kids do. But during the time of the day when kids are inside and in close proximity to each other, it is very, very important that they wear masks so that we don't see a spread. As I said, we're seeing a dramatic increase among children this year. And some people have said, well, why is that happening? And the answer is pretty clear. The Delta variant is much more contagious than what we were facing last year when school started. Second, when we started school last year, every child was wearing a mask. And it worked. It worked exceedingly well. So we are today, frankly, pleading with our schools, with our school boards, with our superintendents, with our parents. If you want to keep your kids in school, the safest way to do that is to have your child vaccinated if they're 12 and over, and to put a mask mandate on in school. Dr. Vanderhoff?
Thank you, Governor. The only thing that I can really add to what the governor said is this. The Delta variant of COVID-19 is relentlessly and aggressively seeking out anyone who has not been vaccinated. And that means we have to take extra steps when we are talking about a population like our young students who right now do not yet have the opportunity to be vaccinated. And we know what works. We know it from our experience. We know it from the Ohio Schools COVID evaluation. We know it from countless medical publications, including those that have been offered by the American Academy of Pediatrics. And that is that we can mask our children in school. That is the way that we can protect them and protect their school year until the day arrives when they too can be vaccinated.
Now, let me just add something to that. We're trying to keep our kids in school. We're trying to keep our kids safe. But the other challenge when we see spread in school is that goes back to families. And in a county where only 50% of the population is vaccinated, that means that half of those kids are going back to families that are not vaccinated. And so one family would spread it to another family through school, or many families. Then it goes back to those families, and there may be someone in that family who gets it and who ends up in the hospital or who ends up dying. So it is not just to protect the children. It is not just to keep the kids in school. It is to slow down the spread in the community. And schools can be, when children are unvaccinated, a big spreader. So it's also about saving the grandmother who lives in the house. It's also about saving the father who lives in the house, or the mother who lives in the house. So there's a lot at stake when these decisions about masking are being made. Anybody else?